Okay, cool. So, our next session will be the panel discussion, and now we're gonna get our panelists here. Hello, everyone, guys. Thanks for coming to this panel discussion with a prominent name, Secure Our Future, right? And before we start, let me introduce our awesome panelists. So Anastasiia Voitova, head of customer solutions at Cossacks Labs. Viktor Zhora, deputy chairman and CDTO at State Services Special Communication Information Protection of Ukraine. And Pavel Kravchenko, co-founder and CEO of Distributed Lab. Unfortunately, Natalia Tkachuk, the head of information and cybersecurity direction at its National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, couldn't join us because she's got some urgent requests to address at her stage, right? But hopefully you participated in her talk just before, right? So I mean, I want to remind you guys so that we don't have a Q&A session, like dedicated Q&A session after this talk. So please write your questions to the chat, and we'll try to address them. Because really, I want to have this discussion, as it interactive as we can. So please do not hesitate to post your questions to our panelists, right? Around security topic, it can be almost like any question. We'll try to answer that. So let's probably start, right? So the first question would be like how IT industry in general and fellow software engineers can help during the war, and what are the most like emerging needs and problems that we need solutions for. And you can go in any order, guys. I mean, just either up your hands or
Oh,
just
yeah, let me
yeah, go.
start here to give a little bit of perspective. So, I work in a data security company, right? In a peaceful time, we deal with sensitive data protection. We create software, we create custom solutions, we work a lot with cryptography. And previously, we dealt with many companies with elevated security requirements. Since February, we are working closely and we are assisting public and private companies that work in critical infrastructure, secure communications, military, with security, with protection. And during last months, I personally dealt with many developer teams trying to do something, trying to create or like improve software, right? And I would say to answer this question, what software engineers can help during the war, just keep out. Literally. Don't implement, if you're like software engineer, if you don't have a security experience, if you suddenly appear to be working on sensitive software that deals with sensitive information, that has a lot of impact on lives and data of Ukrainians, keep out. Donate, do other things. Don't implement security systems, don't implement protocols, don't implement solutions, don't build any more drones. Right now, I see that's a little bit pessimistic and applied point of view, but what I see that a lot of people start doing things and they should not be doing. And it gave a lot of headache to security engineers like me trying to now make these things secure. So as a software engineer, if you don't have skills to do security things, don't do that. Better work on things, join the groups, join volunteer groups that require your skills, right? Based on your experience, based on your skill set. earn money, assist your community, assist your family, donate. Just, keep yourself out of things you don't know about, especially if it's about people's lives.
No. I mean, I guess to be kind of less pessimistic here. I mean, I guess everyone can. I mean, I guess the important point is that we all have different skills, and we can use our skills, primary skills, to bring the value. I'm pretty sure that that's true, right? So I agree with you,
Absolutely.
Anastasia, that software engineers can do lots of cool stuff and participate in lots of cool projects. And we had a couple of talks already today, talking about some interesting projects out there, related to some chatbot functionality, or related to some geolocation and stuff like that, right? So there are lots of things, but yeah, be careful, with dealing with security stuff if you are not experts in that. Okay, Victor, Pavel, do you want to add something here?
Okay, we'll add that indeed, like in cryptography, the first rule is don't write your own cryptography. I know that, like, I have lots of friends who are building their own drones and yeah, stuff like that, and they will continue doing that anyway. So it's like, if you test it against the strictest criteria, it will not pass for sure. But on the battlefield, enemy also doesn't have all the tools. So it's like very non-linear situation when you do have it in your arsenal, something, but it's not present here and there. So people will continue create communication systems, like battlefield management software, etc., and there will be some success, there will be some failures, and yeah, they will pay for these failures with their lives. Somebody will pay, and I think in this situation, the only thing we can do is to warn people who are using that they have such a risk. For example, people are using a lot of civil drones, and the civil drones are subject to the spies, etc. But on most most locations in the front line, the enemy doesn't have the mechanisms to understand the location of the operator, and some they do have, and some they don't. So many people are still continue throwing bombs from the civil drones, and updating the firmware, and yeah, doing a lot of stuff. So like, yeah, if we would play according to the rules, we will die already.
I wouldn't say that civil drones are the problem. I would say that people who don't understand that these are consumer devices, not protected, despite they have IAS encryption, these devices are not built for battlefield, right? So without this understanding, I've seen many cases, unfortunate cases, of people who don't have experience in flying drones, who don't understand the technical limitations, right, of these drones. They just buy a new device, or volunteers buy them a new device, and they go to a front line and they're getting killed. And I believe as
It
a security
happens.
community, our goal here is to warn and educate and pay emphasis that yes, while it's okay to use civil drones, during war, we use all the things we can, right? We need to understand the threat models. The threat models right now, they're different. Security failures right now, it's more than spending money, it's more than insurance, it's more than covering compliance checkbox. Security failures right now, they lead to people dying.
Yeah.
Well, if I can add to this discussion,
Yes,
uh,
sure.
yeah, it seemed to me that it can be case by case. So I know very bright cases of using of agro drones for offensive objectives. And in these cases, these drones are improved, modernized, and units which are using them are absolutely successful, even comparing to those units which use military drones. So, but anyway, you should define the area of application. You should improve it according to security requirements. So this is the fact. But in case there are any limitations on resources or availability of some resources that are easy to get, it forces people to find approaches and try their best in current conditions. So just be smart, understand the threat model, and do everything to save lives and to use available resources in the best way. So generally, I would like to support Anastasiia in general motives. I mean, continue working, continue contributing to our economy, supporting armed forces, donating, etc., etc. But if you are conscripts that you have direct scenario of contributing to our victory, but if you are a volunteer or you simply work for your company and are responsible for development process or for supporting of IT infrastructures, it's crucial to understand the risks as well. In my presentation, I told about statistics from CertUA, and unfortunately, we receive a lot of tips from our partners. I mentioned it in my speech that we have a lot of fruitful connections with global partners who support us with threat intelligence. And in some cases, we see vulnerabilities in high-profile IT companies in Ukraine. And when we reach them with these tips and information on threats or persistent inside their networks, it always becomes a surprise. In many cases, we give recommendations to fix vulnerabilities in web resources on networks. And sometimes these proposals from our side continue staying without reviewing and considering. That means that everybody on the workplace should understand that the price of mistake is very high, and that is exactly what Anastasiia mentioned. And I would like to emphasize the importance of cyber hygiene. Every person, especially on workspace, should be aware of potential risk of infecting their own endpoint. So simply don't click shit and follow basic recommendations on cybersecurity to avoid becoming a supply chain. And this is the basic recommendation, but if you're responsible for supporting your IT infrastructure, then you should be aware of vulnerabilities and follow all recommendations from CertUA or from other cybersecurity agencies, or just follow cybersecurity news. And that could be a good contribution to overall cyber resilience.
I think,
Thank
yeah, 5 cents here. I think people don't know that Don't Click Sheet is a community guidelines for people what to do and not to do on their devices, and like it has a lot of links. It's mainly maintained by Vlad Stiran. This is a cool GitHub page, and we'll probably add it in as a link somewhere in the description to this video.
Yeah, so I apologize for this slang, but this is a widely known resources and which is very useful and has a lot of practical recommendations. But even use of very simple recommendation like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, application security, installation from reliable sources, use of endpoint security products, making backups, and avoiding clicking on some suspicious links or opening suspicious attachments from unknown senders. That's a key.
Yeah. So, thank you, guys. I mean, I guess this is valuable tips, right? And the bottom line to be mindful, right, and to be careful, because any mistake can be used by our enemy against us, right? Okay, so another question I have for you guys. I mean, so I remember when when everything just happened, right? And everyone, like developers, were like joining IT army, and even without the knowledge in cybersecurity, as we just touched on that, and without any like hacking skills, they tried to help somehow and to do something useful for the country, right? How do from your perspective, how big is the role of IT army in Ukraine, and how effective were the DDoS attacks against Russia, right? Done by IT army and some folks.
We'll start.
I honestly don't know. So I personally didn't participate in these activities. So some of my friends and employees were. I think it had some psychological effect on our nation and on Russians. So it created awareness for sure, but I cannot comment on how effective they were. So I agree with Anastasiia that it's hard to be effective on something that you like not an expert in. But yeah, people wanted to do something. I agree that it's much better to earn money on something that you do know and donate that money to guys that know their stuff.
Well, I think that IT army is a great idea by itself. So this is a scenario. This is the way to sublimate the will to restore justice. This war, absolutely unprovoked and unjustified war against Ukraine, looks like a war between the good and evil. And there are no gray zones. And it seems that even international support which receives Ukraine is caused by the basic right of people for justice. And I understand that IT specialists having corresponding skills are gathered with the idea of direct providing this justice to our adversary. And it seems that the idea in which it is combined, it is organized, is really brilliant. Of course, there are some obstacles and some very thin aspects of using of this likely offensive technique for, let's say, active defending our country. And perhaps there will be a lot of economic discussions and legal discussions and probably internationally legal discussions regarding activity of IT army and groups like this. But in general, the activity of these crowds of people, 250,000 people that are in IT army right now is fantastic, and it's not about efficiency. It seems to me it's about the will to defend our country in cyberspace, and from a government point of view, we all know that there are some moral, perhaps, support and understanding, but there's no coordination from officials for IT army. So they select the targets solely by their own, and From my point of view as a citizen, I would respect any action that makes our enemy weaker, that decreases his ability to attack us. And I'm completely confident that the absence of highly sophisticated attacks and high activity in cyber aggression from Russian side, at least expected activity, is directly connected to actions from volunteers all around the globe who continue probing their military and government IT infrastructures. But again, this is a very interesting case, and perhaps international legislation on cybersecurity could be improved or changed somehow with regards to understanding of completely new entity, a new area for exploration, like people movement, people resistance, a way which these groups of people are combined and provide with communication, coordination, and mostly interesting with automation. So I understand that this is a very simple scenario of engaging of crowds of people with different levels of knowledge and expertise, but giving them tools that easily engage them in their direct impact on enemy's infrastructure and understanding of their contribution to our country's victory. That is the case, and I would consider from this angle at least the activity of IT Army instead of discussing of its efficiency and perspectives.
Thank you. And Nastya, we can't hear you, or at least myself.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Is it better?
Yes. Now we can hear you.
So I totally agree with Victor and Pavel here, and I would like to emphasize that IT Army, it's not the only volunteering organization that was spontaneously created, and the people who organized or self-organized to do something. IT Army is one of many, right? We know about IT Army, it's a huge one, but there are more. There are more tiny Ukrainians and foreigners, small groups that were doing different things. And I agree with Victor here that we cannot measure its efficiency right now because we don't have measurable results, right? We don't know the real impact, yada. But this is definitely a movement that allow many people to feel as they are part of the war, they are part of resistance. They added their own time, they added their own skills to do something. It's like a huge swarm of bees where everyone is a tiny, tiny bee, but when they are together, they are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, true. No, that was. I mean, I guess that was also a fun actually. I mean, to see how more more skillable people, they help the people who doesn't have any experience and share some tips and tricks how to for example, trick AWS policies so that you can do the DDoS attacks or some stuff like that. That is quite. I mean, I guess important thing is the movement, as you said, is this is the movement. This is dedication from lots of people. Cool. And another basically related kind of thing here. We touched on this DDoS attacks. So why DDoS attacks are so popular type of attacks, right? And what should you know to protect yourself from DDoS?
Maybe I will start and hope
Yeah, go
my colleagues.
on, Victor. Yeah.
Well, to my opinion, DDoS attack is not even cyber attack. If we start from definitions, and in the case of IT Army or other groups that are contributing to DDoS attacks against enemy infrastructure, This is not a botnet. This is a network of real people which use advanced technology to make the activity more efficient. And this is the most, perhaps, the most available type of active participation in cyber defense. This requires basic skills, and in case of good automation, and we observe very good level of automation and low entry to the groups. It allows to start immediately and immediately receive follow up, like effect of this activity. So it's viewable when any service is unavailable, that you have the success and perhaps joy of contributing to some inconveniences of our adversaries. But on the opposite, of course, and I mentioned it in my presentation, Ukraine was suffering from very powerful attacks in the beginning of year, and we understand, of course, that it wasn't voluntary or activist movement from Russian side. That was well planned and organized activity of botnets and dedicated technology that are used to provide DDoS attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure. And here at SSSCIP, and with the help of our foreign partners, global DDoS protection providers, and our domestic ISPs, I hope that we are quite successful in protecting of most critical assets from DDoS attacks, which basically continue every day with different severity. But we understand, and we develop new approaches to protect our government web resources. And it's much easier to do when you deal with some botnet or automated technology instead of dealing with real people, as it happened from Ukrainian side and from side of foreign volunteers that joined these groups to provide some inconveniences to the enemy.
I hear the sound of air raid sirens. I think it's a nice touch to our pen.
Yeah, from someone. I mean, I don't hear here. I mean, it's my place. I'm in Kiev. I'm not sure from where it comes from.
That's Kyiv one. I think you'll hear it soon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's in Kiev.
Okay.
I hear it too well.
Cool. So, I mean, just one more kind of question here. I mean, is it, on the protection side of things, right? Is it enough to simply, for example, buy some good commercial anti-DDoS software, for example, and assume that you sorry guys, and assume that you are protected, or not really, or it's not enough?
I don't think that in security buying any type of software is enough. It's not like there is easy questions and easy answers. Just buy this tool and you don't need to think about it. No, not really. While using some commercial solution will protect from like maybe most type of tricks, but it doesn't mean that it will make a company magically secure against all possible DOS attacks.
Well, I just want to say that we were offered a lot of pro bono help from our partners, and this help is available even today, despite of 6 months of war. So if any company requires protection, I think we will able to help at least with those solutions that are offered pro bono by our partners. But we have on the table a lot of different approaches to be protected, and from point of view to protecting of state resources, we continue developing the project of National Backup Center for State Information Resources, which will include, of course, up-to-date services of DDoS protection. That's it.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Victor. I was on mute because there was this air alarm here in the building. Okay, so the next question. So how to protect your information and privacy nowadays? I guess especially for the fellow like people that use some mobile devices and use some potentially not quite secure internet connection. So what are the simple like tips for people to how to protect their like privacy and information?
I think we have touched this subject before when Victor mentioned don't click sheet guidelines,
Yeah.
right? And I have posted the link to them to the
Yeah.
chat, and the word sheet is like censored. So people who listen to us, you should know that these are not 4 stars, 4 asterisks. This is another word there. Please follow the guidelines. But yeah, mainly the data protection, information protection, privacy questions really depend on a threat model, right? There are different type of advice for usual users, for normal people. However, right now we're in the middle of the war, so we are not a normal people anymore. There are different types of guidelines for journalists, for soldiers, for people who work with sensitive data, for people who like just live their lives, right? And as there is the different things to do, there is no one size fit all situation. And depending on the threat model, depending on what you're dealing, depending where you live, in Ukraine or in temporarily occupied territories, you should do differently. You should do things differently. A good example would be probably you have heard the stories of Monobank when they changed the default scheme of their credit card to Russian workshop go fuck yourself, right? Default at the same moment for all users, which was a threat for people in temporarily occupied territories who were actively trying to leave those territories back to Ukrainian controlled territories. So, and if we look on this example, like just a tiny bit here, it was nothing wrong during peacetime, but suddenly it became a live threat. The same with privacy protection. In a normal circumstances, you do a lot of pictures, you store them on a phone. But when you're in a temporarily occupied territories, for example, you don't do pictures, you don't
Yeah.
post information on social media, or better, you create like a fake profiles. Instead of posting real pictures, you just post pictures of nice flowers. So people
Yeah.
who suddenly would like to check through your phone, to read your data, to read your Facebook account, they will see like flowers pictures there. You know, these are different things. And yeah, I think that if we would like to enumerate all of them, we will spend hours. But again, we can find some links and put them into description here.
Yeah. No, I guess this is exactly what I wanted also to touch to Nastya, that I guess these guidelines, right, and the tips, they are quite different for different circumstances. I mean, I was also thinking about people on occupied territories that they are even they can't even like store some, yeah, as you said, pictures on their phones, right, because they can be checked, right, and this is of course having nothing to do with the normal life, because it's not in normal life it's not security threat to keep some pictures, right, or Ukrainian flag. you know, in your with your picture, right? But on the occupied territories, I mean, you should be very careful, unfortunately. Yeah.
And the threats are everywhere, right? Like take a look on Telegram chatbots, for example. Ukrainian government
Mm,
has created several chatbots like Stop Russian Aggression bot.
yeah.
The thing with Telegram bots that you can put information there and then you believe that you like deleted the chat. But if someone will type the name of this bot, the chat will reappear with all the information that you previously uploaded. And this is
Mm.
something people don't know about.
I didn't know about that, yeah, Azer, and I guess we lost Anastasia for a minute. Probably she opened some wrong chat bar. Hopefully
I hope
not, but
everything's fine.
To
yeah,
get
yeah.
the data
Oh,
back.
good, good. You're back. You're back. Sorry,
Yeah, I'm back.
Nastya,
I'm back.
we lost you for a minute.
Okay, I was explaining the chatbot situation that when someone uploads pictures to Telegram chatbot, uh,
Yep.
it's easy to think that these pictures are gone, but they are not, right?
Yep.
And if you're living in a temporarily occupied territory, after using chatbot, you need to remove these pictures. You need to delete to stop chatbot. You need to remove it from your chat list. And maybe then, if someone will type the name of this chatbot in your Telegram, maybe then they won't see these pictures. It means that you need to do more actions. You need to do
Yeah.
things you haven't had any idea of before. And there are tons of these small things to follow. It's really complicated to keep up with everything.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I haven't thought about that, to be honest, as well. Um, and by the way, guys, I mean, I want to. I mean, the attendees, right? Who listen to us, please. Nasty. I'm sorry. Oh no. I mean, I checked another. So guys, I mean, do not hesitate to ask your questions on the chat, and we will try to address them if we have time. Okay. Cool. Okay. Um, so the next question I had, so how to protect, and again, we had another talk about that, but how to protect yourself from, you know, tons of fake news and propaganda from the public media and internet, and, you know, is it really too difficult to, you know, identify fake news and somehow automate this process to kind of to, you know, to immediately to identify is it the fake news or truth?
Yeah, I think it's really hard in the beginning because it's fake in a way that it looks solid and true. So, like in the first hours of invasion, there were news about that Odessa is captured, and that
Mm.
many people believed that, but yeah, it didn't happen in reality. But it seemed natural that you know, Pridnestrovia attacked, and yeah, paratroopers were in Odessa. So how can
Yeah,
you do that? I don't know.
usually these fake news, they are very kind of carefully crafted, right, by
Hmm.
special people who actually earn the money from that this is their job, actually. I mean, those people who create this kind of fake news and propaganda, I mean, they get the you know, the actual salary for that, you know. Nastya, Victor, do you have any thoughts on this?
I agree
Yeah,
with Pavel here that if, sorry, Victor, if it was like an easy way to distinguish fake news, yeah, we won't see such spread of disinformation, right?
Yeah.
For me, what I try to do when I read something, first of all, I limit all the resources I read, right? I try not to follow the super popular Telegram channels that can post 5 normal news and 1 fake news, right? I
Yeah.
try not to follow those. I try to read only like official statements and or people who I know more or less. and I use Twitter for as a source of information. There's a lot of things going on Twitter. So what, as a rule for me, I understand when I read the news and I feel a lot of emotional response to this news. Remember all those cases from 2014 about small children being murdered, the other. So if something is like an immediate emotional response, probably this is manipulation. Right? Probably this is something that is like overput, like
Yeah,
probably this news is something,
exaggerated, right? Yeah.
yeah, exaggerated, something like that, right? So I don't, what I do not do, I don't start reposting these to all my friends and family,
Yeah.
because why? I wait, I close my social networks. And by the way, I follow this rule. I have time limitation on my iPhone, so every social network application I use, it has time limitation for 15 minutes a day. Otherwise, I don't think I will be able to work anymore. Otherwise, I think I will just follow news. But no, I have the strict limits. So if I want to read
Yeah.
something, I have the screen. iPhone show me, hey, you had your time for today. Go do some useful things.
Oh, this is super cool tip, by the way, Nastya, because I'm struggling. I'm spending too much time. Reading kind of news or social media. I should really use your tip here. And I
So
can add from my
if you use an
yeah.
iPhone, yeah, if you use an
Yes.
iPhone, it calls
Yes.
screen time and then
Okay.
app limits. And you can put
Okay.
different applications. So all my social networks, everything, I put an app limit for 15 minutes a day. And it just shows the screen, your time limit is like off for today. Would you like to continue? Of course, you can
Okay.
put a button, I would like to continue, but you will do it consciously.
Yeah.
You need to make an effort.
Yeah. Good. Is it
Well,
screen time you said?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Let
Cool.
me check.
Yes. Go on. Sorry. Victor or Pavel, you want
yeah,
to say something?
I will add just a few moments to what Anastasiia and Paul said. The pattern of receiving news completely changed in the wartime. And of course, with the reading of Telegram channels or other social media, we receive them promptly. We receive them much more quickly than in other electronic media. Let's say, I don't even compare to TV news or paper newspaper or something like that. So it's a quick but not always reliable source of information, and here the matter of trust appears. And to my opinion, the fact checking is should be primary for all those who post news, and secondary for all those who read these news. But it's mandatory anyway. And I can tell a story. I can tell a story about SSSCIP, which became one of major provider of official and unofficial news in the very first days of war, letting us grow our audience in Telegram channel from 6,000 to more than 200,000 people. And when you start gathering and aggregating a lot of news from different sources, even from not very reliable ones, you can make a mistake. And we decided to concentrate on official news and those news that are accurately checked to avoid these mistakes. And of course, the number of these messages and information in our Telegram channel drastically decreased. But we decided to concentrate on being a reliable source of information. And for these cases, you have a blue badge, so you understand that you can trust this source of information and hope that those who post this news check it before letting it go.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. This is like hygiene, right, of the like consuming and producing news nowadays in the time of war. Absolutely. I mean, one
Absolutely.
thing I did, but one
Yeah,
thing I did,
information
by the way, I
hygiene
mean,
is so important as cyber hygiene, basically. Apologize for interrupting.
yeah, no, that was some glitch, I guess, in connection. But yeah, one thing I did at the very beginning of the war is basically, kind of filtered out and created a separate, like it's Twitter account, and added only some kind of proven sources of information, some kind of officials, let's say official, like a Ministry of Defense and some others, right? Some official sources of information to have this, to be able to kind of distinguish what's really like happening, and because there was like just tons of information going on our heads, right?
Yeah, I think it's even more important to see the information that is within the country about like, okay, who did what, who is right, who is wrong. These guys were accused of this, that guys of that, and I mean we know that it was our problem for like centuries. Ukraine split apart by some
Yeah.
different ideas, who is right, who is wrong, who should be in charge. Now I think we're keeping up pretty well, but still, like because we have very strong enemy, people just okay leave aside the squirrels. But if situation becomes less black and white, so I don't know, Putin says okay, no more fire, that would be a really bad day to a certain extent, because we will start thinking about internal stuff. So luckily he's
Yeah,
still
no,
sending troops that are being targeted by our artillery.
yeah. Luckily, we are eliminating them slowly. But anyway,
Good.
guys, I mean, last question from my side. Sorry, just conscious of time. I mean, I want to kind of talk about cryptocurrency a bit. I mean, the Pavel had a very a good talk on that, but just for the sake of this discussion, I mean, um, so is there any kind of risks or danger of using cryptocurrencies nowadays, especially with fear of to be robbed by hackers, or probably be identified, but revealed your identity, for example, or some other risks of using that.
Yeah, sure, you can lose your money any moment, technically. And yeah, we as a company lost some and our clients, so like, yeah, it's every time. But still people are using that because it has certain advantages of very fast international payments. So Ministry of Digital
Hmm.
Transformation raised a lot of money in crypto, and
Yeah.
even central bank. And the kind of the speed of money transfer was kind of more important than the risk associated with that. I know like the Poverty Живым was kind of in an interesting situation when they raised Ethereum, and then it dropped like twice in April approximately, and
Yeah.
people noticed that they haven't spent any, like so that there were 2 million and then it turned into 1
Yeah.
million. People were like, why we are sending our like donations and we
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
spend them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so they didn't really, I mean, they tried not to be super active with crypto because of risks, obviously, and some regulatory issues. So they left this money for their reserves. And obviously, it's a big fund. They needed the reserves, but people, like, it's still not a very clear situation in terms of like what's your attitude. But on the personal level, a lot of volunteers started using crypto because it's the way to send money out of the country or in
Hmm.
the country. And yeah,
Yeah.
we have the policies from National Bank, but at the same time, I mean, people still need to pay for drones. And basically, that's it. So I would say crypto usage became more and more popular. I've seen that a lot of people try to convert fiat, their dollars, into USDT in the first days of the war to exit the country, and the premiums to buy like USDT were like 10%. So there was a lot of fun, so to say. Now situation, I guess it's different. So
And
volunteers need USDT to pay for certain stuff, and yeah, there's a premium to buy it.
and why do you think the NFTs are so popular nowadays? Because like before, I guess last year or 2 years ago, I mean, I haven't heard much about NFTs, but now everyone like talking about that, and
Just like, so to say, digital art or digital unique items that you can now treat as a property. It's not a like it needs its innovation, but kind of it has certain, I would say, application areas beyond which is more looks more like a hype. So, for example, we also help like a drone making company to issue NFTs for the donations. So if you donated for the drone, a particular drone, you
yeah,
get an NFT. It's still in the process of launching. I mean, how it could be like it's like buying a stamp from Ukrposhta. So actually, Ukrposhta launched a public tender
yeah.
to issue NFT stamp, and it's a very good idea. And you know, not going physically but buying online. But yeah, it's again for in a particular moment of time, people treat certain digital items as more valuable than before. As in our childhood, we treated, I don't know, like turbo,
Yeah.
collections, and it's technology is needed, and we will like the whole society will switch to digital. And I think that's our huge advantage because Russia is in war with us, who is already a digital nation. A digital nation thinks differently. It thinks about communication. It thinks about like how do we create a precise weapons, not just sheer power that has no direction. And
Yeah,
we will win because of that. Because we speak English
absolutely.
better, we like can program things, we can build things, and yeah, a lot of things. So this
Thank you,
every
thank
technology
you,
you
Paul.
can learn, you should learn. That's my advice.
Cool. Anything to add, Victor and Anastasia, just to kind of close the stage here?
Just a few words. It seems that cryptocurrencies are one more vector of attack, and wallets are under a constant threat, and we should be aware, at least as well as our foreign partners are aware that military hackers and cyber criminals from aggressor state received a mandate for robbing of banks, for robbing of wallets, to bring resources to the country, for further support the aggression to Ukraine, and even being not a classical way of funding, let's say, but very very comfortable for using. It is one more asset which is threatened in cyber. So please consider it responsibly and take all security measures to prevent being robbed by a hacker who needs your crypto money, who need your money on bank accounts, and perhaps in case of success they will use it against us. That is very important to bear in mind.
Absolutely.
I think that blindly hope that cryptocurrencies will make the world better, or that robots will make the world better, or that NFT will make the world better, is to like bring the catastrophe to bring a disaster. Instead of blindly hoping and living in illusions, I would say that we need to work really hard to make these emerging technologies secure and useful for us. And this is not a world of our dreams. This is something we really, really need to put a lot of efforts into.
True, true. Nice words, Anastasia. So, okay, guys. I mean, we are. I guess we are done here, and I guess we had a very good discussion today. And thanks for your time. Thanks for coming to this conference and sharing your knowledge and valuable advices with our attendees, right? And yeah, thank you very much. I mean, together we are we strong and we're gonna win for sure.